The Americana Music Association just announced their nominees for the 2025 Americana Honors and Awards ceremony, which is held every year at the Ryman Auditorium. And this year is pretty interesting because it's a really good mix of up-and-comers and people that are really representing the new face of Americana, with a few classics and foundational artists built in as well. To be honest, I'm not really big on award shows. I always get excited when artists I like are nominated or win awards, and if an unexpected album comes away from a ceremony with a big award, I might be more inclined to listen to it. But overall, when it comes to exploring new music, I don't really put all that much weight on award shows, rather focusing more on things like fan discourse or, of course, my own ears and preferences. However, I do feel like the AMAs doing an award show is a little bit different than, say, the CMAs or the ACMs, which those award shows really only serve as a billboard for major label artists with large financial backing. Because the AMA Awards are a much smaller spectacle in comparison and serve a niche audience, independent artists have the opportunity to have their work judged on its merit, not on chart performance, and not on who spent the most money campaigning for an award. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that your local coffee shop performer has just as much of a chance of being nominated as, say, Jason Isbell. But I do think that the bar for entry for the AMA Awards is not as influenced by major label money as other larger award shows are. Along with that, I think that the Americana Honors and Awards nominees are a really good reflection of what the last year in independent roots music has looked like. And that's really why I wanted to talk about this. So, I'm going to look at the 2025 nominees category by category, and reflect on the past year in Americana music, as well as offer my predictions on the 2025 award show winners. We're going to start first with a category that admittedly I know the least about, which is Instrumentalist of the Year. For this category, the nominees are Fred Eltringham, Alex Hargreaves, Megan Jane, Caitlin Rates, and Seth Taylor. So Fred is a drummer, and he's actually had a great year already, taking home Grammy and ACM awards for his work with Lainey Wilson and Sarah Jaros. Megan Jane is a drummer as well. Alex Hargreaves plays fiddle with Billy Strings. So is Caitlin Rates, who's a cellist. She's played on a lot of records as well. And Seth Taylor is a guitarist. He has a band called Mountain Heart, but he's also worked with the likes of Zach Bryan, Colby Acuff, and many other artists as well. Truth be told, it's very hard for me to make a prediction on this category because I just simply do not know enough about these instrumentalists. I will say I do think that there are two artists that worked with Billy Strings on here as a pretty interesting coincidence, if it's a coincidence at all. But if I have to make a prediction on this category, I'm going to say it goes to Fred, just because it seems like he's been on a hot streak this year, and I don't think that's going to end here. Next up, Emerging Act of the Year, which we have Nolene Hoffman, MJ Lenderman, Medium Build, Maggie Rose, and Jesse Wells. I hate to be so decisive or dismissive here, but it's gotta go to MJ Lenderman, hands down. All of these artists are great, but I don't think any of them have had as big of a year as MJ Lenderman has had. He's selling out venues left and right, he's showing up on late night TV, showing up on album features, and he's on track to probably eclipse his band Wednesday in popularity. Not to mention, Manning Fireworks is one of the best albums of the past year, in my opinion at least. I think Jesse Wells might have a sliver of a chance because he's pretty popular across the internet, and I really like what I've heard from Maggie and Nolene, but I think it's probably gotta go to MJ. I think it's gotta be him. Following that, let's look at Duo/Group of the Year, where we have Julian Baker and Taurus, Dawes, Larkin Poe, The Mavericks, and Gillian, Welch, and David Rawlings. There isn't really a clear frontrunner to me here. Gillian, Welch, and David Rawlings might have it just because they are one of the most iconic duos in the genre and one of the most formative groups for Americana music in general. And along with that, their new album Woodland has been a reminder of why they're so beloved and foundational to modern roots music. On the other hand, Dawes has had a really big year in the public eye as well. Between losing half of their band to other projects, and the LA wildfires upending their lives, destroying their home and their studio, Dawes has really shown their mettle and resilience, starting over from scratch, recording a new album called Oh Brother, and also leading the charge on recovery efforts and fundraising for victims of the LA wildfires. They've emerged as leaders in their community and have shown a ton of resilience and resolve along the way, and personally, I kind of hope they get it for that fact. I'm going to give Dawes the edge here, but just ever so slightly. Next up, one of the biggest awards of the night, Artist of the Year, where we have Charlie Crockett, Sierra Farrell, Joy Oladokan, Billy Strings, and Waxahatchee. This is a tough one because all of these artists are beloved and had big formative years in 2024. Overall, Billy and Charlie are probably the biggest two artists here commercially, and have had really big years this past year with their acclaimed albums Highway Prayers and Lonesome Drifter, respectively. But my gut is telling me that this award is going to go to Waxahatchee. Katie Crutchfield has had an incredible run the past couple of years, gaining traction and gaining acclaim, and their 2024 album Tiger's Blood was met with a lot of praise and enthusiasm from fans. Katie has emerged this year as one of the leading voices in Americana music, and I think she deserves this award. Another big category here, Song of the Year. The nominees are Johnny Moonshine by Maggie Antone, Ancient Light by I'm With Her, Wristwatch by MJ Lenderman, Sunshine Getaway, JD McPherson, and Heartless by Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. My thinking here is that Maggie Antone might be a bit too pop country to appeal to Americana listeners, and even though I'm With Her has had a big year and are a force to be reckoned with as a supergroup, I really didn't feel like this particular song had enough edge to me sonically. It was kind of not sticking out as much as I would like it to. On the other side, I think Sunshine Getaway's production might be a little bit too edgy for the more traditionally minded Americana listener, so I think it's either going to go to Wristwatch or Heartless. Wristwatch might be a little bit too edgy also, but I do think MJ Lenderman might have a bit broader appeal. Lastly, the big category. Or at least, I think it's the big category. It's not the one that the Americana Music Association has as their top one, but I do feel like Americana music is an album format, and therefore, to me, this is the big category. So, the nominees are Lonesome Drifter by Charlie Crockett, Foxes in the Snow by Jason Isbell, Manning Fireworks by MJ Lenderman, South of Here by Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, and Woodland by Gillian, Welch, and David Rawlings. And let me tell you, I am genuinely unsure how this category is going to pan out. I've listened to all these records, they're great albums, and they're kind of hard to compete against each other. Part of what I'm thinking is that maybe Lonesome Drifter might be still too true to the same form we've heard on other projects from him, that it might not stick out. I also think that, as great as it is, it's one of my favorite albums of this year. Foxes in the Snow is an acoustic album, and an acoustic album solely. It might not have as strong of an edge, even though Jason Isbell has a history of cleaning up at the Americana Music Awards. South of Here is a great record, but I don't think it has the same amount of buzz as some of the other ones in this category. So for me, I think that this category is going to come down between Woodland and Manning Fireworks. And I think it's going to go to Manning Fireworks. I love the Gillian, Welch, and David Rawlings album. It is fantastic. It's a great album, but MJ Lenderman kind of just has this moment right now where it seems like he might be the new face of Americana music. I know I have him up for winner or very likely winner for 3 categories, but I genuinely think he deserves it. He put out some really good music this year and has been really redefining what the genre is about in the public eye and bringing in new fans in the process. I think it's got to be him. There were a few snubs this year, a few things I'm surprised were not nominated. I know Waxahatchee had Artist of the Year, but I'm really surprised that Tiger's Blood did not make it into the Album of the Year category, as well as American Aquarium's album, The Fear of Standing Still, Sturgill Simpson's album, Passage du Désert. I don't think this album had a really great chance, but it was a great album last year that I wish got more attention. Shane Smith and the Saints' Navajo Norther. And also really surprised that Father John Misty's new album, Mahach Mashana, which if I butchered that, my apologies, which was one of my favorite albums last year and was a very different and interesting record. To be fair though, looking at the Album of the Year category, it's pretty hard to argue with these picks. It might have just been shoving more albums into that, and maybe that wouldn't have been so good. But then you start to wonder if some songs from those albums should have shown up in the Song of the Year category, because personally I felt like that category did not have the strongest picks in comparison to the Album of the Year category. But I don't know. That's just a matter of my opinion. Maybe they wanted to make sure that they gave those artists some recognition as well. After all, there's a lot of Americana music to go around. The genre really is kind of a big family, and so, maybe they just wanted to make sure that more artists were recognized and that there was more variety for the voters. Anyway, those are my opinions on the Americana Music Association's Honors and Awards Ceremony nominees for 2025. Would you have picked anyone different? Do you think there were any snubs? Who do you think is going to win? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Brent Funkhauser from Red Moon Media. Thank you for watching. Hey, I got new music that's getting ready to come out. Follow the link in the description below to follow me on Spotify. And if you're enjoying this video and like Americana, I talk about here all the time, so please subscribe and follow along.